Let's give the people what they want.
Joker, Folie, Deux is a brand new film from director Todd Phillips starring Joaquin Phoenix as Arthur Fleck and Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn. This is the follow-up sequel to the highly regarded Joker movie, and the question that I've been asking myself pretty much since this was announced is why? Why do we need a sequel? But as this film has gotten closer and closer, I've become a little bit more curious whether or not this film could actually be a worthwhile sequel. And well, there's a lot to talk about. So that's what I'm doing today. This is my spoiler-free review of Joker 2, so smash like, subscribe if you're new here, and put on a smile. But Joker, Folie, Deux. Struggling with his dual identity, failed comedian Arthur Fleck meets the love of his life, Harley Quinn, while incarcerated at Arkham State Hospital. And you know, I just want to start this review by saying I am an absolutely massive fan of what Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix did with the first Joker film. It was lightning in a bottle. This film came out before I started reviewing movies here on the channel, so I haven't really talked about it too much, but I absolutely loved it. But that's also what makes this situation so interesting, because that movie freaking rips, and it truly feels like it should just be a standalone. But here we are with a sequel for Joker. And after watching this movie and finally getting a chance to see if this whole thing, if this wait was worth it, I feel like I'm left even more confused than I was when I went in. There's a lot to break down here, so I'm just going to start with the negatives and work my way to the positives. If by chance you have somehow avoided the trailers and avoided all of the marketing for this film, Joker, Folie, Deux is a musical. And you know, I'll be honest, being a musical person, being a choir person, I love musicals. But the sequel to Joker being a musical, I don't know, I guess I'm just surprised that they were willing to green light this idea, because it's such a huge swing. And at the end of the day, after walking out of this thing, the thing that didn't work for me the most in this film was the music. And funny enough, there's actually some sort of meta commentary wedged into this thing that kind of says exactly what I was feeling. And I don't know if that was just like a self-aware thing that they were doing of how dumb of a decision it was to have it as a musical. But all of that aside, just as I was watching it, it was making me mad because the story that's being told within this film is actually pretty good. It takes the continuation of Arthur's journey and does some really cool things with it, but Gaga is just jammed into this thing. And even though Harley Quinn is such an iconic character, she does nothing to elevate this character or move this character forward. She's basically just there to sing, and that sends a message to me as the viewer that the studio was just like, we'll put Lady Gaga in this thing and it's gonna be successful. And honestly, fair point, that might be the case. But I probably would have preferred for this not to be a musical and for them to add a little bit more depth to Harley and her backstory, and maybe even have it played by a different actress. I feel like that maybe could have worked. It's just one of those things where you watch the trailer for this film and you have kind of all of these questions and doubts in your head and all of the things that could possibly go wrong with the movie before going in, and then all of that kind of happens. Also, another thing that I was thinking about is, even though this movie sort of tries to bring in different elements from the Batman verse, like you have characters like Harvey Dent making an appearance, it doesn't really help so much because the overall tone and feel of the film in general is such a curveball from the first, in the sense that it doesn't feel like it belongs in Gotham. This city looked like, in the first movie, getting a glimpse at old Gotham, kind of before Batman comes in and cleans up the streets, that type of thing. But now, in this film, it just sort of feels like you're looking at a very typical East Coast city like New York. And that might not make sense to some people. I found that it didn't feel like Gotham in this. I didn't feel like we were in the Batman universe, and I found it really distracting. But, and this is a big one, this changes everything, Arthur keeps the story alive. He kept this movie, for me, from being a complete waste of time, because this side of it is this courtroom drama, and it showcases the obsession that this city has for him after everything that happened in the first film, and what that's gonna do to a mentally ill man such as Arthur. And I loved that aspect. I wanted more of that aspect, because he's the character that we got to know in the first movie. He's the one that we took that whole journey with, and now it's fun to be back living with him and just watching how all of this plays out. Things certainly don't play out in a way that you'd expect, which it could be a good thing, could be a bad thing, that's definitely subjective. But the fact is, Joaquin Phoenix on his own, once again, is incredible. He's created such a unique man in Arthur, and he found new ways to sort of elevate the character while honoring what had come before. I'm just constantly impressed when I'm watching him in anything else, but this role specifically. He's so freaking great. There were also a lot of other great performances in this. The one that I will shout out is Brendan Gleeson. He plays one of the guards at Arkham State Hospital, and I love Mad Eye Moody. I love this actor, and it's so great seeing him in this. Also, something else that I want to point out and I want to shout out is, there's been this big shift in the industry trying to make a lot of these films for IMAX. That's kind of like the new 3D thing, trying to sell the movie to the audience. Like, oh, we have to go see this in IMAX. But if you're gonna see any movie in IMAX, this is the one. It actually elevated it quite a bit for me. I want to give a shout out to fellow creator Sean Chandler for giving me a heads up on this screening, because I would not have seen it in IMAX. And what Todd Phillips does with the aspect ratio in this movie is really, really fun. It'll kind of squeeze you in and pull you out, and you're not going to get that effect at just a regular movie theater. But when sitting down and really just thinking about this thing, I think the most stimulating thing that's going to come from it is the dialogue surrounding it. Not even the film itself, just the dialogue. Just the conversation that audiences are going to have, because some people are absolutely going to love this movie. They're going to say it's a masterpiece, and also some people are going to say, this was the worst thing I've ever seen. And there's always dialogue with every single movie that comes out. That's the beauty of film, but this one is unique because it's a musical, because it's a sequel to such an awesome movie, and because it really takes a big swing. The biggest swing of all is how it ends, and I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but the ending of this movie is make or break. It's gonna be make or break for a lot of people. Personally, I think what happens completely elevates the story. So much of what this movie was missing was substance. Something to really grab onto and take away from it, and the ending gave me that. I'm now satisfied with where this story goes. Todd Phillips said, "What's up, everyone? This is my vision. This is how I'm doing things. Deal with it." And I respect that. But all in all, Joker Folie Deux was never really a movie that I thought we needed, and it kind of remains that way for me. But the fact that it exists is fun, and it was a worthwhile trip to the theater. I recommend you at least get out and watch it and form your own opinion on it. I probably won't be returning to watch Gaga as Harley Quinn anytime soon, but no matter what, we will always have Joker. And as always, as for my Jones Vibe star rating, I'm giving Joker Folie Deux 3 out of 5 stars, no doubt. But my friends, if you saw Joker Folie Deux, please let me know all of your thoughts down below in the comments section. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Are you excited to see it if you haven't seen it? Feel free to let me know your opinion. I'd love to see what you have to say. Also, my friends, make sure you hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here, and keep up the good vibes. Peace!